Extremely. So Amanda, why don't we do a quick intro for those who do not know?
All right. I'm Amanda Pasciucco. I'm a certified sex therapist, and I've been working as a licensed marriage and family therapist for over a decade. So basically, I talk to individuals and couples about relationships, sexuality, communication, recovery from trauma to get to awesome pleasure.
Oh, there we go. There we go.
Yeah, who doesn't want that?
Who doesn't want awesome pleasure?
Yeah.
This guy does. I do.
Everyone.
Everybody wants it. So why is sex therapy? What drew you to want to be a sex therapist?
At 8 years old, I decided I was going to be a couples therapist. I was like, I've got this figured out. I'm going to help couples. So that was at 8. And then at 19 in college, I realized sex therapy was an option. I didn't even know it existed.
Yeah.
And I had a professor, Dr. Moorhead, in Providence College, who was talking about sexuality. And I was like, this is what I want to do the rest of my life. I didn't even know it was a job.
Yeah.
And I'm going to do this now.
Yeah. See, even as like a young kid, like maybe it was because it was always like hush hush about any trauma, hush hush about anything, secrets and this. And I think a lot of families go through that. So to be able to actually talk about something as sensitive as sex, I think for, like we were saying before we turned these on, it's like, ooh.
Right.
But I just can't help myself but to think like, it's like, we all do it. So what are we talking about here? What do we want?
Like mostly everybody does it. Everyone who wants to do it is doing it.
They're definitely doing it.
Like alone or with others.
Yeah.
They're doing it.
Alone, some with others. Some are just kind of always going to be alone. That's sad. No, I'm kidding. I'm totally. Yeah.
I was like, wait.
Yeah. No, they could find somebody.
Everyone can find somebody.
Come to me.
Yeah.
So how do you actually like get into the training? Because you knew that you wanted to do it.
Correct.
But how do you actually get into the training of being a sex therapist?
So you also have to go to graduate school to be a therapist first.
Got it.
So a marriage and family therapist, a professional counselor, a licensed clinical social worker. You have to have a license as a therapist first. So that's a master's program, an exam, thousands of hours, supervision. You have to do all that. And then you have to take 90 hours in sexuality education, do another 200 hours in just sexuality cases, be supervised by a person at AASECT, that's the organization in the United States for sex educators, counselors, and therapists. And you meet very awesome professors along the way when you're there.
Dude, that was amazing. You said all of that without even stopping. I'm sorry, I'm easy.
Yeah, it's a lot.
Like,
people ask a lot.
Sex therapy, baby. Yeah, I think with like everything that you're learning and everything that you're kind of bringing forth, are you shocked by anything at this point? Because you've been doing it for a while, obviously, and doing very well. But are you shocked? Is anything like shocking you? No?
It's interesting because I would say certain things were shocking, like at some points when you see a large age difference.
Okay.
At first, you're like, okay, 30-year-old, 60-year-old.
Yeah.
That feels shocking the first time you see it.
Yeah.
And now I've seen it hundreds of times.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think that's just only going to keep kind of going?
I think so, because
like
with the internet, people can find anybody.
So there's anybody for anybody, yeah.
And like people with sex specifically have like these little kinks. And age is not, once they're an adult, age doesn't matter. It's like we bond over this kink that other people are not doing.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like the common ground.
Yeah, yeah. I could definitely see, how people would, how they would just connect with one another, and age probably wouldn't be as much of a boundary as before, because now you have such an access to different people.
Right.
And I've seen it too. Like I've been out with older women too, and I've gotten looks. I mean, I've also I was on a date a long time ago with an older woman, and the one person that I did not want to run into, I ran into.
How is that possible?
The one person.
You manifested it.
I was like, please do not have me run into my mother. And guess who I run into? I'm on a date with somebody who's maybe like 3 years younger than her, 4 years younger than her. And I remember being like, oh my God, no. And my mom's like, hi. I'm Ben's mother. And I'm like, oh, no, which is how I know you.
Yeah, she's pretty amazing. Was one of my professors.
Yes, my mom is pretty cool. She's the best.
She's pretty cool. She's awesome. And you ran into her on a date.
I did. I ran into little Miss Ray of Sunshine herself on this date. And I was like, no.
Did you have a second date?
I did. Yes. Yeah. I
so
had
it didn't go bad.
It wasn't. No, the date went well. I just remember I was too young at the time. I think I was only like 23 or something.
Were you
24.
ashamed?
I think there was a bit of shame. I think it was just because I just said, just not her. Just the one person. Please don't be her. I don't care if I see anybody else or anything like this, because this woman was at least, 15 years, almost 20 years older than me. And she was beautiful. So I don't know why I was like thinking that, but maybe it was like, oh, I don't want my mom to be like, dude.
Right.
And at that point, like I said, we hadn't had a lot of those conversations. And now we have those conversations all the time.
It's different, probably.
Way different.
I'm just thinking, though, that it's pretty interesting if you don't believe in like affirmations. Like you literally called that into existence. It sounds like
absolutely not, Mom. Hey, Mom.
Hi, Mom.
As soon as I walked in Margaritaville in, was it Canton or Avon, Connecticut, I'm like walking. I'm like, oh my God, please no.
Is she even from around there? Like,
she was just like, oh, we just decided to stop here. I'm like, oh, of course you did.
Of course you did.
Did you see my car? Woman?
Oh, maybe that was it.
No, I don't think it was. She just was like by the bar when I got there. I'm like, oh God. And she's like, go have fun on your little date.
Oh.
And winked at me. I'm like, stop winking. She saw you wink.
I just did a lecture with your mom.
Did you?
A couple of weeks ago.
Yeah, how'd it go?
It was awesome. We were teaching a bunch of clinicians about polyamory, non-monogamy, and BDSM relationships.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of get into that too, because it was something that was kind of brought onto me, and something I've always been kind of curious about, which is polyamory. And I thought for the longest time that I was definitely going to be in more of a polyamorous relationship. Like I was like, I mean, and I think it's more just because of selection of partners. Like it was like, okay, you can have this, I can go here as long as I open communication. I can do, whatever I want. But then I found that it requires way more communication.
Way more work. Like every person brings in an exponential amount of complication, right? Because you're adding to the system. So it's no longer just between two people. Now it's between three people. And that's a lot of different conversations.
Yeah.
So there's a joke in the community of non-monogamous people that everyone thinks polyamorous people are having sex, but they're really just talking and looking at their calendars. So it's, a lot of polyamorous issues are calendar issues at times. And how do you split quality time?
There's a lot of feelings.
Lots of feelings.
How many people have you seen in, like, what's the number of the most amount of people you've seen somebody seeing in a polyamorous relationship?
Not just having sex with. You're saying
sex,
partner.
Relationship partnered up. Is there like where you're like, oh my God, that's a lot?
I've seen people do 4 relationships.
4?
Yeah, 4.
Dude.
4. And then maybe some group sex or something on the side with one of those people. But yeah.
Dude,
that's a lot of work.
Dude, that's so much work.
I know.
One person is just fine for me. And that's what I found out.
Yeah. And there's like nothing bad or wrong with that also, right?
There's nothing bad about monogamy. That's not to say that your mind doesn't wander and you like wish, sometimes, or you think things are going to be this, but feelings are just such a hard thing to see. And I mean, for me, being in a polyamorous relationship was always something I questioned, because my mom and I had that conversation. And I remember just being like, it sparked it. And then kind of coming back full circle to wondering, asking questions. I watched a couple of your videos on it as well. And they're extremely helpful, which those are on YouTube mostly, but you have other stuff.
YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, at the Sex Healer.
Sex Healer, yeah. And they're extremely helpful. And I think it's like when you break down something maybe so casually, like the way that you talk about it, because you're around it so much, helps normalize people when they listen to it.
I think so. Like the fact that I could make it about calendars, time,
Yeah.
communication, emotion, and break it down to like, well, this emotion means this. People aren't usually thinking about anger as meaning you need a boundary, or they don't think about sadness means something's important to you.
Yeah.
They just kind of assume I'm feeling it. So I speak like from the feeling instead of for the feeling on behalf of.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think that's important, especially in open relationships, to not be just projecting feelings onto everyone before you really process what it means to you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's a lot of work.
So
it's a lot of work.
it just sounds like when you have to deal, because you have to deal with your own emotion. When you have to deal with your own emotion, it's a lot.
Right. And in monogamy, sometimes, not always, but sometimes you can kind of hide
Yeah.
from your own emotions.
Yeah.
When you have a bunch of partners, you're getting called out everywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So you have to be more honest about your emotion. And then hopefully they reciprocate.
Right.
Yeah.
Hopefully.
Yeah. Hopefully. How do we know how long is it still the same length of a relationship with polyamory versus monogamy? Like, are those relationships still just as long, or are they shorter?
That's a really interesting question. I don't know if we know for sure.
Okay.
What I do know is about 5 years ago, I think it was 6% of the United States was identifying as in an open relationship, and now it's 14%.
Really? So double.
And
Almost
there's still not protection, though, in many places for people in open relationships. So, for example, you can't be married to more than one person.
Yeah.
In many states, you can't have multiple parents on birth certificates. But some, like now, it's starting to change. Some places you can have a polyamorous home, but the law, like you could still lose your job for coming out as being in an open relationship. It's not
That's insane.
covered as protected yet.
Yeah. I think that's just insane to me. Like, who cares? Like, who really cares?
Who cares?
Yeah, it's like I think that right now during this time, and I don't want to go, too full circle around something where it becomes like this like woke answer, but I want to say, like, for me, it's like, who really gives a shit what you do if it makes you happy, if you're not hurting anybody, and it's
It's legal.
and it's legal. It's like
Who
who
cares?
cares? Like, what does it matter? And I think that a lot of people, once they hear that it's like it's an option for you, and I think it's not so much of this like fringe, taboo thing, because I think that a lot of people need to hear that message of relationship, of love, of everything. Like, hey, I like this person, but I like this person too. It's like, hey, you can do that. That's okay. It's not this awful, thing. I just didn't know if like the length of the relationship would be the same.
I love that you bring it up, because I think something that I didn't even really think of was length. I kind of measure relationship success by the depth and
really?
connection.
Really?
I never thought to measure it by length.
Well, how many relationships have we seen? And we could touch on this now. How many loveless relationships do you see? I mean, I imagine you see a lot in your practice.
Lot.
It's been 25 years. He doesn't look at me the same.
A lot of it.
Oh,
yeah. I think people who are coming to a sex therapist are there because their sex is not where they want it to be. The love is not where they used to feel it. So,
well, why don't we touch on that first then? Like, what would you do? What would you suggest for somebody who comes to you in the very stereotypical, I'm in a loveless marriage. I mean, it's been X amount of years. It's how do you ignite that spark or fire?
Well, I guess I'd first ask what they want their goals to be. Like, what are we aiming for? Are we aiming for sex? Are we aiming for date nights?
Mm-hmm.
Are we aiming for we're sharing income? Like,
Yeah,
what is
okay.
the point? Why
Okay.
are we together then?
Yeah.
Why are we together, and what are we hoping to gain? Because I think that matters. So say it's a couple who's been together over 30 years. They have love, like friendship love, but they don't have erotic connection. They haven't had sex since they conceived their children. Oof. This is true.
Yeah.
I see these cases.
Oh my God.
And my first question is like, how many hours a week do you have to work on this?
Yeah.
Because this 50-minute session is not going to do much. How much time do you have to read, to listen to things? Because I think that they need to hear the conversations that you were talking about, like hear that another relationship type exists, hear that sex doesn't have to look like a penis and a vagina. It can look a lot of different ways. That orgasm is awesome, but pleasure is the measure.
Okay.
And so we're just breaking down small concepts, but it's really how much time are you willing to put into it?
Yeah, well, much like anything, to create a structure or to create something of value, you have to put time and effort into it.
I agree. And a lot of people stop putting effort into their relationships and they wonder why they feel disconnected. It's like, well, you're acting like a single person in a relationship.
That's true. Yeah, good point. Yeah, I never looked at it like that. Yeah.
Effort is pivotal pivotal, is that the word? Primary importance, I think.
Yeah.
Just showing up and doing what you do in the beginning, just showing up with excitement means a lot to people.
It's definitely huge. I mean, actually showing up and being excited to be there is it would be kind of one. But do you think that it differs between men and women, what they're looking for in a marriage like that, that's in that situation?
Yeah, a sex therapist who's passed away, Gina Ogden, would say in the research that she's done, which was featured all over the place on Oprah, et cetera, 80% of women in the United States report that they need to feel safe and secure first before they can even let their guard down for the context of pleasure.
Okay.
So 80%, that's a lot.
Do you and
they don't feel safe if they're not feeling heard.
Like, do you know when that study was done?
It was done maybe 10, 15 years ago.
Do you think that still has staying power today?
I think it has power today from what I hear in the rooms, but this is a biased, population. They're people who are coming to sex therapy.
Yeah. Exactly.
They want to feel safe.
Yeah.
However, there might be like a trauma history or something. So it's my sample size is very biased. It looks like it's the same.
I would say it probably feels the same.
Okay, you would from your experiences.
From my experiences with just talking with people.
That's what I mean. You talk to a lot of people.
I talked to quite a bit of people about this. Maybe not this subject, but from when I'm listening, if you're really listening to the emotion in their voice, if you're looking at them and you're really taking the time to open your ears a bit, you definitely notice that when females, generally speaking, when they talk about their partner, it's about like, well, it's always like, I never know what this is happening. I don't know. It's always like, what's going on?
They feel a little clueless.
So the security isn't there.
It's not there. And it sounds weird that would matter.
Yeah.
It kind of sounds weird.
Well, I mean, I don't know. In
movies and in shows,
yeah,
it's not, that's the one night stand is exciting.
Exactly. See, but the security, I think it's hard to sell sexy with security.
Who wants to buy security? Although humans rather be unhappy than uncertain, no one wants to buy structure and security, really. Even though the human body likes it.
Craves it.
Our polyvagal nervous system, we crave co-regulation, which means like a person attuning to us with their eyes, their posture, their body language. We crave that.
Yeah.
Versus, that's why in pickup artist books, it's like stand 45 degrees away from her. Because then
sit your chest up nice and tall.
Exactly.
Yeah. Deepen your voice if you can. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's like, hey, how's it going? There's nothing.
And then that's it.
That's probably not you're probably not gonna get her. And those books, to some people, it's like it's a con artist thing, but to me, they hold water. Talking about the pickup artist type of stuff.
You said con artist.
Con artist, yeah, con artist. Is it? I mean, it's definitely a thing because we are nonverbal, And so I did this little experiment, and this is literally, this is me just saying. So I did an experiment, and I told like 3 people. And now I'm telling 4, and you're a sex therapist, so you can ask me why this was, and it was just more of an observation. So I went to the gas station and I rushed. I got out of my car. I was fumbling around
on purpose.
Okay. I got in there, grabbed some water. Bought some gum. Wasn't really looking anybody in the eye. And I was doing this, and then. So what I did was I went to the next gas station. This was just something I just needed to see. So I got out of the car.
When was this?
This was last year. I swear.
You were bored.
No, this is the pre-pandemic. So it was before then. So I got out of the car and I shut the door really lightly, and I was like sitting up nice and straight, and I was very slow, and I went in and I was like, can I get 20 on, 1 or whatever? Thank you very much. And it was just very slow. And what I notice is like how you present yourself to the world matters.
Yes.
If it's manic and rushing around, and what I did notice, and maybe this is just, like I said, this is just stupid. I did it for a second. And what I noticed is that not only did men notice me, like, who's this guy? Why is he walking? Like, he's just slow, open the door for people. Hey, how are you? Good job. You doing well? Good. Like that type of stuff. Compared to the manic rushing around, shoulders down, you're not going to get much like, it's like, ooh, this guy, the energy is off.
Right.
But when but when the energy is and the vibe is there, so that's why those pickup artist books, I imagine that's why a lot of them work.
I don't think they don't work. Like, I agree that they have some merit of working. I don't think that they lead to the security of which is why the book, I think, Models came out.
Yeah.
Whatever, years ago, because it kind of tried to take the pickup artist thing and make it also secure.
Yes. They tried to sell something a little bit more
secure attachment more.
Yeah. Which I think is sexy. I actually do think that. And I think it's because when you're younger, you have so many of those physical run-in relationships where you're like, oh my God, I can't live unless I touch this person.
Yes.
Like, oh my God. And then the young girl, oh my God, he's so handsome. Look at him in his truck and his boots and his white shirt. And oh my goodness. And it's like, okay, well, he's going to ruin, he's probably going to ruin you, but that's fine.
Right. It's like, okay, because you're not looking for that attachment. You're looking for how good looking this person is. And
lustful.
It doesn't always go wrong, to be clear.
It can go right.
Like, your mom actually has introduced me to many of, I should say, my exes. So it's just interesting because it's like, I've met them in different contexts, and it's lust, but there's also some type of, oh, well, I know this person, so if she knows them, then they must be safe.
Then they must be good, or they must understand where I'm coming from.
Exactly.
That's huge, to be able to know, like, people. And I've always prided myself on this, and you could be like, Ben, you're stupid. I've never had a one-night stand.
Never.
I have never in my life had a one-night stand.
I think that's great.
Everybody thinks I'm lying about that. I have never not just been with somebody once. It's never happened to me.
I am thinking for myself, I think I always at least make it twice.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
you always have to do 2 or 3, and then it's like, all right, this isn't working.
Exactly.
So, like, I give them a few tries, though. It's not fair. I don't feel it's fair. Just once. Like, it's the first time is really hard to get it correctly.
Yeah. Oh, I think that the possibility that you're going to get it correct the first time is almost zero.
Almost zero. However, people will say, oh no, it's so great. And it's like, I think our measures of great might be different.
Yeah. Is it deep? Is it connecting? Which is what we were talking about also before the camera went on, is being that connection is huge.
Right. Like, the chemistry is more than the looks. And we were talking about how, like, body image seems huge. And it is huge. Like, the confidence that you have in the skin you're in is huge. And chemistry and attraction kind of even goes beyond that, though. It goes beyond the body. The body is like the unit by which you're having the partnered sex, but it's also the mind's there. The emotions are there. There's a lot happening.
Yeah, see, I agree with you. I mean, having that be the measure, I think that should be the new measurement of a relationship, is the depth.
Yeah, the
and
depth.
The emotion. And I know how that sounds. For some men, like, ugh, this asshole, like this guy. But I can't even tell you that. Maybe I am just more of an emotional man anyway, for that matter. Like, I'm very...
I think all of us are emotional, but emotions get pushed out. As you're too sensitive, you're too whiny, it's not masculine, it's not very feminine. Like, whatever it is, it's just an insult of the character, and you've kept emotions as important to you.
Well, I mean,
right?
Tried. I mean, I'm definitely trying.
I'm sure people have, like, tried to get it out of you and not be emotional, because you're a person who was assigned male at birth, so you have to be manly with your skulls.
Well, I mean, I think it's more than that, because I think it's more about security. Like, it's like, for me, to be able to talk to somebody in depth is more valuable to me. And that's not to say you let emotions run the conversation. What you're saying is I can look back on that emotion and talk about it, and I'm okay with that. Like misery, sorrow, sadness, love, pleasure, whatever.
That sounds really important.
It's super important to be able to articulate yourself, because that's literally what a smart or educated, and I'm saying emotionally educated or
emotionally intelligent
person would do. And it's just like, do you think that those languages get lost, which was why it leads to a lot of those loveless marriages, because males need something different than females? Do you think that is part of it?
I think that's part of it. And also think about like the movies, the TV, and the music that we listen to that reinforce what you just said.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, that's true. It definitely is. But I mean, there's a lot of music that is pushing that you don't need those things too. Like there's a lot.
So we have a lot of mixed messages.
There's a lot of mixed, which is why people are confused.
Which is why people are confused about sex and love and what an orgasm. What is orgasm? What does it feel like? A lot of women are confused on that.
Really?
Yes. Like
confused?
that's my number one question I get asked. How do I know if I had an orgasm?
Oh, dude.
I know.
Yo, you guys, whomever is doing this, you guys need to figure that out.
Listen to this podcast.
Yeah, listen, and you need to know. Wow, that is like a legitimate question.
That's a legitimate. It's so sad.
Homies, my mans, you guys gotta get your shit together. Oh, I feel like a failure.
It's one of the most common questions I get asked. Oof. And
I'm not a wizard or anything. I'm just saying that's a rough question.
That's a rough question.
Yeah.
How do I know? And it's like, well, you wouldn't be asking.
Yeah, I mean, and so what do you say to that? Like, what do you say to that to them?
I say, are you talking about, the first question I say back is, do you mean solo sex or partnered sex? And they're like, what are you talking about?
What? They don't even know that. Okay. Let's go off of partnered sex for now. Let's drag some people into this.
Yeah. So if they say partnered sex, I would say, how long are you doing a warm up of the body, like touching the skin, touching other parts of the body that aren't the genitals? Mm-hmm. They might say not at all. Okay. What about then the genitals? How often are you touching those before you get to penetration? 2 minutes. All right. Well, it takes most female bodies 10, 20, 30 minutes for the internal clitoris, which is the erection that women get inside the body. How men get an erection outside, women have that inside. It takes at least 10 minutes with a vibrator, usually 20 or 30 minutes with like oral or digital sex, to get that full of blood. And if that's not full of blood, it's the vagina doesn't have many nerve endings in it, because that's where babies come out. Yeah. So the pleasure that women get from penetration is because the internal clitoris is closing the vaginal walls, and that gives them this tight feeling for penetration. So people don't even know that there is an internal clitoris, and that's no fault of anyone other than probably society. It didn't get into the textbooks till 1974. What? With Betty Dodson, who passed away last year. But that's when vibrators hit the map, and the internal clitoris. She was doing work on cadavers, and she found the internal clitoris and was like, why isn't this in the books? Like, we don't need that because nothing goes wrong with it.
That's a hell of a... just like that, working on cadavers, finding an internal clitoris. That is a hell of a book, I imagine.
A hell of a thing to find.
Rest in peace, Betty.
Yes.
Rest easy, Betty. But like, you got to pregame.
You have to pregame for the clitoris, and I don't think people know that, because where do we see that? Do we see that much in porn? Not that much.
Or
sometimes.
movies.
In movies, right? It's like we
Homie's
jump
just
in.
Like, let's go, and then they're like,
and there's no lube.
Yeah, and then and then her hair's messed up. His hair. He's like, that was amazing. That was amazing. It was the first time. Yeah, my ass.
Yeah, it's not amazing the first time. And it's also, I mean, sometimes it could be fun.
It could be fun.
But like, let's set the bar at fun versus amazing. And if it's amazing, it's a pleasant surprise, right?
Dude, this is great.
Yeah.
But it's like, so first off, we need to kind of plant this, we need to tailgate. What you're saying is tailgate. Pre-game at that vagina. Yeah.
Yes. And the outside of it, just for fun, like, vagina is awesome. The outside is called the vulva.
listen up, guys.
Vulva. So the vulva is the outside. It's what you see when you're looking at someone who's assigned female at birth.
So I mean, I think with with just people need to just camp out, is what you're saying.
Yeah, camp out, discover, uncover, explore.
Take this watch, set it for 20, 30 before you get into it.
Yeah, make sure you have time. Don't do a quickie.
Yeah.
Don't rush all the time.
You don't want your partner, and this might be ruining your job security. You don't want them knocking on your door.
I don't want job security. I would love to put myself out of business and find something else to do. However, this job needs to be done right now.
It does. It needs to be done because people are knocking on your door because those people aren't knocking on their door for that.
Right. And people also, there's shame in solo sex. There's shame.
Not with this guy.
Well, that's great. I love that. I'm so glad that you feel that way. I don't think many.
I think a lot of people feel shame.
Yeah, so many people are like, it's so shameful to do it alone. Why?
Yeah.
Why?
I never.
You're like, I didn't have that problem. I love that.
But I know that some people. I mean, maybe as a kid, you're like, all right, I'm not doing this. You find an Easy Rider magazine. My dad was into motorcycles or whatever. So it's just lady with boobies hanging out. So, I mean, that makes sense. But I mean, if at any point at that age, if somebody approached you, you're like, I have no idea what you're talking about. But as an adult, male or female, it should be like, yeah, bro, get on that level.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I mean, that's a lot of these dudes aren't doing it. You know what I mean? They're just coming in like a wrecking ball and not wrecking anything. They're
it's
out.
just like penetration of something that doesn't want to be penetrated.
Do you think porn definitely has something to do with that? Do you think they have I don't want to say responsibility, but
I don't think they have a responsibility. I think to me, I'm not anti-porn. The thought about porn to me is it's obviously entertainment.
Yeah.
And I feel the same about movies.
Yeah.
And television, but some people start comparing their sex to porn, to television, to movies.
That don't work.
All of those are terrible comparisons because none of them are real sex. None of them are real.
That's true. There's none of that awkward, I'm sorry. Do you
want a towel? Or wait, so do you want to put music on? Should we bring the shades down?
I'm so glad you said you have a towel.
It's
so
true.
Funny. It's so trunny. I'm so sorry. Can I get you a towel?
Towel? Do you want a towel?
Yeah, you put one down.
Right, should we put one down? We need an extra.
My God.
Right, because that's not happening because no one wants to see that in the movie. It's boring.
I really want to see that in a movie. That'd be hilarious.
Really? Okay, you can make that
We need to make this movie. And that's how Ben got into the industry.
Woohoo!
So, I mean, it's just super nice to have this conversation and how, when you have these conversations with people, with your practice, how hard is it to pry through that to get them open about it? Or
it depends on how they were raised.
Okay.
It depends on their religion, the ethnicity. It depends on a few things. Some people that come to me are also like social justice warriors in ways, so it's not as difficult.
Okay, yeah. They feel like they're on a crusade to help, to help.
And so if they can't live with their body in radical self-love, that's something they're striving for. So they're on this, like what you said, crusade of pleasure.
Do you think that that's all? And I'm one that I like to kind of stay in the middle generally. Do you think that that's also damaging too? Like being just that you're on this crusade about this, because doesn't false positivity lead to almost not narcissism, but it becomes look at me, I'm so this. Can you notice a difference in that, or what would you say about that?
Yeah, I agree. I think you don't want to be too this way or too that way, and if you can't see me left or right, because you want to be in the center, balance, kind of on this balance beam of life, not projecting and not placating.
Okay.
So in the middle somewhere, and when you're internally harmonious, you can kind of go around and people feel your vibes as neutral. They don't feel them as too rageful or too quiet.
Yeah.
You feel more safe because you're in the middle. That means you're like a centered adult.
Nice. Yeah. I so that's why I was kind of getting at that. I wasn't trying to, hopefully it didn't sway you at any bit. So with that being said, a lot of young people, I tend to see that on social media and the people that I interact with, the likes, the shares, the looks. That's not it for me. It's like I get it because it's their bodies and they're showing them and they're doing this. What part does that become damaging though? I'm not like, at what point do you go, oh, all right.
I think we've already shown in the research that it is damaging, right? Dopamine depletion from the likes and shares, and people feeling like their lives aren't worth living because they're not getting enough likes, and they feel bullied because not bullied by words, but bullied by a lack of attention or connection. So if we're looking for likes, or if we're sharing, revealing our bodies to get attention isn't negative in any way. However, is it helpful to pleasure? Is it helpful to depth? No.
Okay, good.
But it does something for the brain as like fun. It's fun.
Oh, wow. I got 100 likes.
100 likes. I feel really good. I worked like 2 hours to get that one picture on my head.
Yeah.
And
that's true.
I don't think it has anything to do with sexuality, though.
Okay.
It has nothing to do with sex.
Yeah, I don't see a lot of those people saying anything, and I don't want to say those. I don't see a lot of people posting those pictures and doing that. A lot of times when I've met them, and they do have a lot of that, and they have kind of shown their body on display constantly, there kind of seems to be this disconnect with their personality almost.
Right. It's like a different skill set.
Yeah.
It's the skill set of a look versus the skill set of emotional intelligence or something else.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's what bothers me the most, because I work with a lot of people and talk with a lot of people who do that. And if anybody's even noticed, my social media has changed quite a bit, and it's because like I wanted to put something funny, some content, some do that. I mean, I can't constantly take a shirtless pic, and I get a bunch of, you get a bunch of DMs, you get a bunch of this. I'm not saying that because it's me, but we
it's
have
true.
That we all have done it. And what I've learned is like what I get from that isn't nearly as emotionally fulfilling as somebody saying, dude, you made me laugh today, or thank you for saying that, about like being grateful or whatever. Like that emotional intelligence is better. And I think that a lot of young people have problems with the thing you were talking about with the posting of, pictures and that, because that hit of dopamine, and that's a real thing.
It's fast. It's fast.
So quick.
And I wonder though, like you also posted something today, which was really beautiful on your social media about being present and grateful. And to me, if I post something like that, those 20 likes feel a lot better than if I'm in my gym clothes and I got 200 likes for something that I think is kind of silly.
Yeah, it something that it's like I don't need a reward for working out or helping my body, but it definitely becomes that hit. And I agree with you that 20 likes feels way better than the 300 likes. When you got your shirt off or you're working out, or, and I agree with, and I'm in that industry.
Yeah, like
I'm in the
to be clear, nothing's bad or wrong with taking those pictures. Yeah. Like we all do it. We've done it.
Done it.
Yeah. There's nothing bad about it, but just know what it is. Just like watching porn, it's not bad. Just know it's not real.
Just know it's not real.
Also, with can I just say something about porn again?
Yeah, let's talk about porn.
Fake bodies. Those aren't real bodies.
Yeah, there's a lot of those bodies and that's what a lot of young men fall victim to.
Yes.
They hold women to this
standard.
Well, I mean, you want to hold them to some sort of standard.
Everyone is a standard.
We all have our own standards. And that's another thing. It's like with porn, it's like whatever you like, whatever, it's like, okay, that's fine, but that's porn.
It's porn.
It's porn. Yeah.
It's fantasy. There's so many labiaplasties, which is, the female genitals are cut and resewn to look different. Mm-hmm. And that's a lot of the porn industry. When I was in sex therapy school, many of the people alongside me were escorts, strippers, porn stars. They were getting out of the industry.
Yeah.
And they wanted to do sex education instead, to show that this isn't real, folks. It takes us 4 hours before we start rolling to prep the scene.
Yeah.
It takes this much makeup, this much hair. We're spray tanned. They like put makeup on the genitals.
Yeah. They do. There's a makeup genital artist.
Yes.
Yeah. Imagine having that job.
I know.
Yeah, you're like, what do you
The
do for work?
butthole
Yeah, you're
and
like, I do genitals. I do butthole makeup.
Butthole makeup and waxing.
Putting that on a resume.
I mean, it's a resume.
I noticed that you are a butthole artist. Makeup
I never
artist?
heard of that.
I've never heard of that.
But it's true. And
Yes.
like, that's
it's true.
something that I really appreciated going to school, like having their voices, like, thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you for saying what's really happening on set.
Because it validates all the things that you're saying to these
Yeah.
people. And a lot of young boys' hearts are broken right now.
They
that we've
think-
done this. They're
I
like,
know.
no.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
Just make it a fantasy. Again, there's nothing bad about it in a solo sex life. However, your hand with you alone is way different than a vagina, which is way different than an anus, which is way different than a mouth, right?
Yeah.
So even for, those who are in same-sex relationships,
It's different.
it's different.
It's different, homie.
It's not what you're seeing on porn. It's not what you're seeing on television and the movies. And it's okay that it's different.
Yes.
It's okay.
Know it. It's okay. Yeah. Oh my God, that was so funny. Sorry, I'm still recovering from the butthole makeup artist one. So we have some questions that were submitted, and they were submitted on Instagram. Keep in mind, you guys all can also do it on YouTube and all that too. So, a couple of questions, and they will remain anonymous. Are threesomes good for relationships, or do they ruin relationships? Amanda, talk to us.
It depends on who the person is that you're having a threesome with. If the person who you're having a threesome with is someone that you know, I've seen that work better than people that you don't know.
Okay.
I've seen it go really poorly both ways, though.
Okay.
And here's the thing. In over a decade I've been practicing, I've seen threesomes go well one time.
One time.
Here's the thing. Bias population.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
These are
Yes.
people coming to sex therapy.
Got it.
I've only seen it go well once.
Okay.
That's not a lot.
Yeah, I have not heard anything about a threesome going well for relationship. We're talking.
That was the question.
Yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah,
relationship.
for the relationship.
People have fun in
Yeah,
threesomes.
yeah.
Yay. However, the specific question was, is this good for our relationship?
Yeah.
I've only seen it work well one time.
What would you say to somebody who's had a threesome in a church parking lot? What would you say to that person?
I would say, I hope you prayed first and asked for Jesus' blessing.
Yes, before entering the parking lot.
That's what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah, just to like clear the air. Just
Yeah.
like, forgive me. And we're going to do this
Oh,
now.
good. See, that's great.
Get it.
Yeah. All right. Perfect. Because that actually happened. That was an anonymous confession a couple weeks ago. So
Woohoo.
good job.
Yay.
Ask for forgiveness. So you're just saying in a relationship, not so.
I wouldn't say a threesome is going to help a relationship.
Got it. Okay. So this one. Why do so many men ghost women?
I don't know what gendered person asked that. It doesn't matter,
Yeah.
probably.
Yeah.
However, ghosting.
Or just why do people?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah,
Why
yeah,
do
what
people
Because
ghost?
I've seen both.
I've
so.
seen it both, too. That's why I'm like,
Yeah. Well,
I've-
it was the person was saying it, and they were
Yeah,
probably saying
yeah.
it for a woman saying it about men.
I think that people ghost because go back to like the 50s or 40s before we had the internet. Someone knew someone, and that's how you met dates.
Yeah.
You were there was a community feel, but now there's no connection. There's no attachment. There's no common bond
Yeah.
in between you. So there's no accountability.
Okay.
No one's taking any accountability. So it's easier to avoid
Got it.
than to treat someone with integrity.
Oh, shit. Yeah, that's true.
It's just easier, and that people choose easier.
People are choosing easy, less responsibility, and to not be accountable.
Correct. And
That's
here's
sad.
the thing, like they don't realize that that's what they're choosing. They think that it's trading short-term awkwardness for like a long-term gain. To me, though, I just think, why not send the message, hey, I'm not really interested. You kind of remind me of my cousin, and that's okay. Like, good luck to you.
Yeah.
And
like,
just end it. Just a quick ending.
Yeah, I'm not interested. You remind me of my uncle. It's weird. You know what I mean? Your mom's a dick or whatever. And I mean, whatever it is, and just take responsibility for the actions to not ghost somebody, because that's a shitty feeling.
Correct. And back in the day, other people held you accountable for that. And it's unfortunate that we live in a world where we don't hold ourselves accountable for that.
That's true. Yeah, guys, hold yourself accountable. Seriously.
Everyone.
Everybody just hold themselves accountable when you're doing something shitty to somebody else. And I agree. I mean, I've never ghosted somebody.
I have not either. I've been ghosted.
I don't. We didn't call it, like, I guess it was ghosting then. But then I saw her again, and then she kind of explained it, which I don't know if it hurt more then when I talked to her, or
well, you still were ghosted first.
Yeah, I was, but I don't know if her explaining it to me a couple of weeks later was better, or it should have happened when she ghosted me. Because when she told me, she's like, yeah, I just wasn't really feeling it. You know, you're just not my type.
Well, how did that feel for you when she said that?
When she said it, I was like, oh God, that hurts. Like right away, I went, oh. But then there was a part of me who was like, well, okay, that's fine, I guess, because there were all things I couldn't change. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, you know, she's like, you're not that tall. And I'm like, all right.
Well, that's rude. I mean, okay. So
she was a bit of a dick. Let's be fair. Yeah, way out of...
if you're going to ghost someone, don't make it about them personally and insulting them.
Well,
it's not helpful.
I think there was
you're not tall. Like, what?
Yeah, I think there was a part of it that was just like she was embarrassed.
Okay.
So it was just like, oh, he saw me. He caught me. So I'm just going to treat him like shit, which says a lot more about her.
Integrity.
Yes, none of that. Yeah, so, but ghosting... Definitely. So you're just saying it's
just easier.
Easier, lack of accountability and responsibility.
Right. And since there's no community involved anymore, because it's just a left or right swipe, no external person is guilting them either to message you back.
You bastards. Damn it.
Damn
it. So we'll get through these. So how do I tell my boyfriend of only 3 months he's not doing it right without hurting his feelings?
I would start with curiosity and just say, you know, we've been together for 3 months now. Around this time, this is what I would say, I'm such a nerd. Around this time, Helen Fisher and the research says that the adrenaline is kind of wearing off. So now we need more skill sets.
Because you would say all that?
I would say, I've said it.
Oh, God.
I've done it. I'm such a sex geek.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I've said it. I'm like, can we bring in a vibrator? Can we bring in a toy? Can you watch me do it to me?
Teach him.
But some people are not comfortable with that. Some people will say, I don't want to watch you do it. Okay, well, then maybe that's a breakup, because boundaries have consequences. My boundary would be, if you're not willing to learn more, I can't continue in this relationship, because sexuality is a huge thing and pleasure is something I value.
Okay. Yeah. So good. Just kind of open communication.
Open communication versus ghosting.
Yeah.
Or versus I'm breaking up with you without any explanation, because now he's going to keep going on doing maybe the same thing.
Yeah. Yeah. You got to teach a man to fish. You know what I mean?
But like also you're dating. So you'd want to be open.
What
right?
happened if he's closed minded, like I could do this? It's like, hey, bro, just take it easy.
Yeah, to me though, like it's like I can do that, but you haven't. Like if you could, you would have. Like the adrenaline wasn't that good, I promise.
Boom.
Right.
Boom.
It's just like don't lie.
Don't lie to him. Don't lie to him. Don't lie to her. Whatever.
Right.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good question.
That's
it happens a lot.
That's a really good question. This one's good. Okay. This is aggressive. Okay, I want to smash. I want to smash all the time. However, my girl doesn't want my eggplant emoji entered. I've tried a lot of things. Some things I don't really want to do. How do I get her on my level?
Does that mean sexual level?
I think it means sex. I think it just means maybe frequency, maybe more frequency.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, the most boring answer ever. You have to talk about it. No one's a mind reader.
Well, he wants to smash.
I know. He wants to smash. There are plenty of people out there that want to smash too.
Yeah.
Is it your girlfriend? I don't know. I would want to know how long they've been together, because like right after the first few years. Like, how long has it been where she's not smashing?
I should have, yeah. Well, he said smash, so I think it's probably not a long time. Yeah, it's maybe like a week or two. You don't like smash your 30-year marriage. You're like, we're still smashing. Nobody says that.
Well, I think that's an interesting point. Yeah, like the language you're using, and you're using an eggplant. So, like, are you comfortable with your body? Are you comfortable talking about sex? Like,
got it.
Why don't you message Ben or I and like give us some context?
We need context on this.
Because you're smashing with eggplants. I'm not into that. Like eggplants aren't my jam.
Yeah. So I think what we would say is, once again, communication. And
like, why are you doing things you don't want to do then?
Yeah.
Also, that's kind of weird to me.
Maybe she's into something he's not in. Maybe she's into feet or something.
Well, that's okay,
yeah.
right? He's doing, but she's still not at his level.
Yeah.
So he's not doing the feet thing
maybe
right.
He's not.
thing.
Yeah. Maybe he's not putting whipped cream or whatever.
Whatever the thing is, like
it's messy.
It's. I think, like, what if she has a fetish? A fetish means you can't get off without the object or the thing you have.
Bro. She's got a fetish.
She might have a fetish,
she
might not be interested in the way in which you're talking about sex as smashing.
Yeah, I need to know more about this.
I know.
person.
I really want to know about this person. I'm
gonna see if they'll elaborate on this.
Yeah, can you?
Yes.
We could do like an Instagram story follow.
We need a follow up with this smasher. We already touched on this, sexless marriages. So we don't need. That was a question that just kind of came in early. So this was my question. Relearning each person's sexual, what gets them sexual aroused, love language every time. Is that important? And is it a big mistake in your practice to see that when somebody goes from one relationship or sexual encounter with somebody to another, to learn that?
Right. So for those of you who have been in multiple relationships, if you know anything about love languages or erotic templates, not everyone is turned on by the same thing. Different times of day, different times of the month, people are turned on by different things and they desire different things. So if someone's love language for sex is you buy them, they like to receive lingerie, but what you're doing instead is sending them love poems. That's not a match. It's okay. It's just that maybe the poems were for your ex and this person wants something else.
Yeah.
And maybe the way you want to give in your love or sex language, make sure that your partner wants to receive in that love language too. Because if you're just giving the way you've always given and you're like, well, that's how I've always done it. Okay, well, change is a form of growth, which is a form of love. Mm-hmm. So you kind of want to attune to who you're actually with, not what you have in your mind about what turns other people on.
Yeah. That's huge. Can you give another example of that? Because that was so good. I just want.
Yeah. So
somebody giving
another example would be someone who really values spending time together. They want a date night. They want a date night before sex because date night and having talk time really connects them. But their partner is giving in the language of, when I get home, I'm just going to go down on you right away. That's not what they're wanting. They're wanting quality time. They're not wanting an act of service on their body yet.
Okay.
So basically, it's just a mismatch of strategies. You're not doing anything wrong. Just communication also, other than the sender, it involves someone receiving what you're communicating.
Got it.
So if you are skipping talking and this person, that's what turns them on, the talking, not dirty talk, just like quality,
actual conversation, in-depth emotional conversation.
If that's what turns them on and you're just like, let's get the vibrators out right away, they're not going to feel connected and their body's going to then be like tense, kind of like you in the gas station running around manically.
Yeah.
Or it will shut down. Something will happen and you'll see in the receiver's body that their needs are not getting met.
Yeah.
And it's on them to be like, hey, I see that you really want to please me and please my body. Thank you so much. And it would really mean a lot to me if you could come back and we could plan a dinner together and talk over candlelight.
That type of stuff.
With a light dinner, right? You don't. Also, just fun fact: don't eat heavy before a night.
Don't go Italian food. Yeah, nobody's feeling sexy after eggplant parm.
Right.
Yeah,
maybe that got smasher. The smasher might.
The smasher. That's his thing. He's like, I love eggplant parm and I love smashing her, you know? It's
right.
Okay. That
Okay.
works.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's hilarious.
So is that a good, do you understand the examples now?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I understood them. I just, there's so many examples.
There's so many
of this,
specific examples.
and it's so helpful. So, I mean, Amanda, it has been absolutely amazing.
I'm so glad we did this.
Dude, me too. This
yeah,
is so good.
Thanks for
so
meeting me way later than we had planned originally.
I'm all hyped up on coffee, and now you're
slept.
You're hyped. You're well rested.
Yeah,
this was great.
This
Seriously,
is so great. I love to talk about sex. Woohoo!
Me too. I'm in.
We're in. All right. So maybe if we get more from the Smasher, I'd love to hear and follow up.
And where can they find your stuff?
You can find me on YouTube at The Sex Healer, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, The Sex Healer. I'm Amanda Pasciucco. And yeah, from Hartford, Connecticut, USA. And
Loco.
Woohoo.
Yeah, all right. Amanda, thank you so much.
It's been awesome.
Thank you all. We're
Thank you. We're out.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Dude, you nailed it.
Crushed it.